What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome to Throwback Thursday Halloween edition. This is a series on my channel that I started as a way to get use out of the older eyeshadow palettes in my collection. So the way this works is every Sunday I post a bonus video on my channel with the footage of me going through my entire collection and pulling the 4 palettes that y'all will have to choose from. From there, I post a poll over in the community section with the names and pictures of each of the palettes. I give y'all a few days to vote, and that brings us to today. Now, if this is your first time catching one of my Throwback Thursday videos, normally all of my palettes are up for grabs, but since it's October, we've been playing with spooky themed palettes all month long. We started out with Strange and Unusual from Bella Beauty Bar, we played with Devour from Unearthly Cosmetics, we've moved on to Twisted Tea Party from Ensley Rain, and last week we played with the Glamlite X Chucky Crazy in Love palette. And our winner this week is so incredibly appropriate. It is the Trick or Treat palette from Odin's Eye in collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist. But you know what? It doesn't matter because we are going to be creating a look with all of the options. I am so excited about this. I've been planning this for a few weeks now because I noticed the further we got into Throwback Thursdays, there was a lot of palettes that we weren't going to get to. There were so many that were highly requested and just weren't winning, and there were ones that I really wanted to play with. So I thought, let's go ahead, do Halloween up big, and create a look with every single one of the choices. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Now, I will have as much of this stuff listed and linked down below in the description box as I possibly can. Some of it may be currently unavailable or discontinued, but if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into these 4 looks. Alright, so let's go ahead and kick things off with the Trick or Treat palette. I think for this look, I want to do something very Halloween. I'm thinking like green and orange, maybe some black and gold. I don't know where all we're going to go with this look, but I'm going to start with this shade right here, which is called Poison. It's this really pretty neon green shade, and I'm going to pick that up with a BK Beauty 211 brush, and I'm going to start by putting this in the inner corner of my lid. So not like the inner corner of my eye, but like right in here, and I'm going to start by pressing that shade down so I can get the full pigmentation that I want, and I'm going to bring it about halfway over, so to about right here where my brow starts to arch. And then once I have that pigmentation pressed down, I can start to blend it out, soften the edges and things like that. I've said before that I find neons to be the easiest if you press them on the eye, and you don't want to overblend, because if you start to overblend, they'll fluff away. Alright, so next we're going to go into this orange shade right here, which is called Jack-o'-lantern. I'm going to pick that up with my Morphe M453 brush, and I'm going to start to press this on the rest of my crease out towards the outer corner. And I'm just going to bump it up to that green shade, and I'm just going to make sure that I press those 2 shades together. I don't want to start doing a lot of blending and back and forth motions because they will mud out and just make kind of a mess, but if you just kind of press them together, they should blend together fairly nicely. You're obviously not going to get a perfect blend, but it'll be better than going back and forth with swiping motions. Alright, so I think I'm going to take that shade down to my lower lash line as well, just kind of bringing it all the way over to the inner corner. But again, I'm not going to bring it into the inner corner. I'm just going to kind of wrap this shade around, buffing it out, blending it, not going in super precise or anything like that. Next, I want to go into this really deep kind of blackened brown shade up here. This one is called Goblin. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that shade up with a Sigma E42 brush, and I'm going to put a little bit of depth in my outer corner. I don't want this to take over, and I don't want to bring it super far over. I just want to leave it like right about there. So I'm going to go ahead and start by pressing that shade out here. I'm also going to bring it down onto the very outer edge of my lower lash line as well, just kind of wrapping it around. And then once I have that shade down, I'm going to do kind of swirly motions to blend everything out and soften it. I'm not really worried about over here because we are going to go in with shimmers and it's probably going to cover that little line. But if you feel like it gets away from you and you need to kind of tone it down, you can absolutely go back in with that orange shade and just kind of go over top and blend it out a little bit softer. Alright, so my lid is primed with my NYX Glitter Primer, and for all over the lid, I want to go into this really pretty orange shimmer shade right here. This one is called Deadly, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my BK Beauty 203 brush. I am going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus, and we're going to start by putting this all over the lid, and we'll see if we need to pull in anything else. But I'm just going to start pressing that shade all over, bringing it up into the crease, over to the inner corner. I don't want to bring it into the inner corner though. I think I want to go in with something else. So I'm just going to press, and then once I have it down, I can start to kind of wiggle it into the crease, blend everything out, get rid of harsh lines, and just kind of blend everything the best that we can. So what I want to do next is go into this shade down here. This one is called Magic Potion. I'm going to pick it up with my same BK Beauty 203 brush. I just wiped it off really good, but I'm going to make sure that I only coat like the tip of it. I don't want to coat the entire brush, so I'm just going to go in with back and forth wiggling motions. I'm going to spray it yet again, and what I want to do is I want to go right along the edge of that orange and just kind of blend everything together, soften that line, and blend it in to that green shade that I have in my crease. So I'm kind of doing the same thing that I would normally do for out here where there's a harsh line and I want to bring everything together, but instead of going in with a darker shade, I'm going in with a lighter shade that's just going to complement everything and just kind of blend it. You see how that's got like a softer line and a softer blend than it does over here? That's the look that I'm going for. I'm still not bringing this into my inner corner though. I just want to bring everything together. So for the inner corner, I want to go into this really pretty like gold yellow multi-chrome up here. This one is called Mummy's Curse. I'm going to pick that up with my BK Beauty 207 brush. I'm going to spray it again, and I'm just going to pop this right in the inner corner. I'm not going to bring it too much up onto the lid, but I am going to bring it down onto the lower lash line just a little bit, kind of where that brush kind of hits right here in that inner corner, just blending everything together. Alright y'all, so this is the completed look, and I think this turned out absolutely beautiful. It is so fun. It is very Halloween. I love the combination of the orange and the green with those shimmers and like that yellow multi-chrome on the inner corner. I think this is beautiful, and although you're seeing this on Halloween, this is like a week before Halloween, and this may be the look that I decide to recreate on Halloween itself. But let me show you what I used to finish up this look so we can turn the lights down, we can see all the shimmer, the sparkle, the shift, and then move on to our next palette. So in my lower waterline, I actually went in with a black liner. I don't ever do black liner in my lower waterline, but I couldn't decide what to do. This is an Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On pencil in the shade 0, and then I lined my lid with my Zeesea liquid liner and finished everything off with my City Beauty Beyond mascara. Alright, let's go ahead and create our look with our Castle of Horror palette. I love this one so much. It's one of my favorite purple palettes in my collection, and I'm excited I get to create a look with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade right here, which is called Potion. I'm going to pick that one up with a Morphe M504 brush, and I am just going to really blow this out in the crease. So I'm going to go in very light-handed with just kind of big circular motions, and I'm going to do this very buildable. So these are very pigmented, but if you go in really light-handed and just grab a little bit, you can get a soft wash of color and then just build it up from there. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, because I don't want this to get away from me. I don't want to have too much depth in my crease and up on my brow bone. I really want to have a nice faded look. I'm going to bring that shade down onto the lower lash line as well, just basically mimicking everything that I did up in the crease and on my outer corner, just wrapping this shade around, giving it a nice blown out effect. Alright, so next we're going to go into this more mauvey shade down here, which is the upside down question mark. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with a BK Beauty 206 brush, and I'm going to start to build up my outer corner with this shade. So I'm just going to pack that shade right out here, building up the depth and the shape that I want. I'm going to kind of wing it out and smoke it out just a little bit out here so I don't have it too dark out here. I really want to kind of make it fade, and then I'm also going to bring it down onto the outer portion of my lash line as well. So next we're going to go into this deep purple shade down here, which is called Witch Bitch, and we're going to build up a little bit of depth in this outer corner. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO5 brush, and I'm just very lightly going to touch right out here in that outer corner, just like I always do. And I'm going to bring it down to the outer portion of my lower lash line as well, and then I'm just going to do some kind of swirly motions to make sure everything is nice and blended. We don't have any harsh lines. You could definitely take this one step further and go in with that black and make it even deeper. there, but I think I'm gonna leave this where it is. I'm really liking the amount of depth that I'm getting, and I'm liking the blend that I have going on out here. For all over the lid, we're going to go into this really pretty duochrome in the middle that shifts from like a blue to a purple. This one is called Mischief. So I'm going to pick it up with a BK Beauty 203 brush. I've already primed my eye with my NYX Glitter Primer per usual, but I'm going to pick it up on my brush. I'm going to spray it, and I'm going to start by applying this all over my lid, just pressing it where I want it, bringing it over to the inner corner, but not in the inner corner, over to the outer corner, but I'm going to kind of leave that little space open because I'm going to go in with something else right there so I can make sure it's nice and blended. But I'm just pressing this all over my lid, and once I have that shade down where I want it, I can go back and start to kind of blend it in, soften out that edge, and get rid of any harsh lines. Next, I'm going to go into this deep duochrome over here that has like a red to a purple shift to it, which is called Castle of Horror. I'm going to pick that up with my same BK Beauty 203 brush that I just used, spray it once again, and we're going to press this right here on the outer portion of my lid where that matte and that shimmer come together. And I'm just going to kind of zhuzh everything and blend it real good so we don't have any harsh lines. All right, to finish off this look, we're gonna go into this silver shimmer shade up here called Fear Factor, and I'm gonna put this in my inner corner. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO2 brush. Once again, I'm going to spray it, and I'm just going to very lightly put this in my inner corner. So this has a very deep base to it, but if I go in very mindful and like very lightly, I can get just a really pretty like pop on my inner corner. So that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of blending it up onto my lid, down onto my lower lash line, and just kind of making sure everything is nice and blended. All right, y'all, so that is going to complete this look with the Castle of Horror palette, and I love the way this one turned out. I really like the mixture of the cool tones and the warm tone purples. Those shimmers on the lid blended beautifully, and that silver in the inner corner, even though it's a little deeper than what I normally go for, I don't think it's too much, and when I turn my head just right, you get this really pretty like flash of lightness in there. But let me show you what I used to finish off this look so we can turn the lights down. You can see the shimmer, the sparkle, and the shift, and then we can move on to our next palette. So in my lower waterline, I actually went in with a blue liner. This one is from Give, and it's in the shade Bathwater. And then to line my lid, I went in with my Zeesea liquid liner and finished everything off with my City Beauty Beyond mascara. All right, the Graveyard Smash palette. This is one of the ones I have been dying to play with because I just love the color story in here. It's just so kooky and different and very unique in my collection. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this shade down here, this really pretty like murky green tone. In fact, it's like the same shade as their skin, which I absolutely love, but it's called Freaky Frank. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that one up with a BK Beauty 201 brush, and I'm gonna start by fluffing this in my crease. So I'm gonna start by pressing that shade in, and then once I have it down, I'm going to start buffing out the edges, blending it, softening it, all of that. But I'm not going to bring this down onto my lower lash line. I'm going to keep this up in the crease. All right, so next I want to go into this orange shade right here, which is called Harvest Horrors. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Sigma X Kristen Dominique eye and nose contour brush, and I'm going to build this up in my outer corner. So I'm going to start by pressing it out here. I don't want to do too much blending because I don't want this to mud out and get too murky on me. It's going to a little bit in the crease where those two shades come together, but if you start blending, it's really going to turn into a muddy mess. So I'm just going to go ahead and press this right here, and I am going to bring this down onto the outer portion of my lower lash line as well. So just right out here, lining it up with what's going on my lid, and then I'm just going to kind of blow it out right here on the outer corner, just making sure that we have a really soft blowout going on out here. That made no sense, sorry. All right, for the rest of my lower lash line and my inner corner, I want to go in with this shade right here, which is called Groovy Ghouls. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Morphe M453, and I'm going to start by kind of pressing it right here in the inner corner, and then I'm going to drag it down onto the lower lash line and just kind of blend it all the way over to that orange shade meeting up with it. And once I get to that point, I'm going to very softly go right along that seam and just kind of blend everything together with back and forth motions. I don't want to take it too far over because I don't want either color to overwhelm the other one, but I also don't want to have a harsh line right there. To deepen up the outer corner, we're going to go in with this deep purple shade right here, which is called Bewitching Bride. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with a Morphe M506 brush, and I'm very lightly just going to tap it right out here in the very outer corner. Now this is not going to come off as a true purple. It's going to come off looking a little on like the black side of things, but not quite as deep as a black would go. You can 100% pull a black in from another palette if you wanted to, but I'm just sticking to what we have in this palette. Alright, so what I'm thinking as far as shimmers go is Thrills and Chills all over the lid, and then maybe Weird Waltz on the inner corner. We might need to bring in Fright Night to kind of blend everything together, but we'll see what happens when we get there. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the shade Thrills and Chills. I'm going to pick that up on my BK Beauty 203 brush per usual. I'm going to spray it with my MAC Fix Plus, and I'm going to start by pressing this all over my lid. I'm going to bring it over to the inner corner, but I don't want to bring it into the inner corner because I want to save that for Weird Waltz. And then when I get to this outer portion of the lid, I'm just going to take whatever's left on my brush and lightly kind of buff and blend it into this outer portion. I don't want to bring it all the way over, and I really don't want to go in with that dark purple shade called I just drew a complete blank, called Fright Night, because I think it's going to be too dark for what we have going on. So I'm just going to kind of sit here and blend and zhuzh and buff and just kind of get as seamless of a blend as I possibly can. Alright, so I think we've got a really good blend going on, so we're just going to move on to the inner corner and finish out this look. So I'm going to go in with the shade down here called Weird Waltz. It's this really pretty, like, almost ethereal topper shade, but it has a little bit of like a pearly base to it. It's a really pretty shade. But I'm going to go ahead and pick that up on this tiny little Morphe M213 brush. I'm going to spray it once again, and I'm going to pop it right here over that kind of chartreusey shade that I put down, which is called Groovy Ghouls. I completely lost my train of thought. My brain doesn't want to function anymore. But I'm going to pop that right in here, and I'm going in very precisely. I'm just going to kind of bring it down onto the lower lash line a little bit, up onto the lid, just making sure that everything is nice and blended. Alright y'all, so this is the completed look, and I think so far this is my favorite out of all the ones that we've done so far. I do still have one more look left to do, but I absolutely love the color combination on this one. I like the way everything blended. This is the first time I've ever used every single matte from this palette, and I love the way that it turned out. But let's go over what I used to finish out this look so we can turn the lights down, see the shimmer, the shift, the sparkle, and then move on to our palette bingo with the two from Betty Jean. So in my lower waterline, I went in with an LA Girl Shockwave Neon Liner. This is in the shade Screamin'. I lined my lid with my Zeesea liquid liner and then finished everything off with my Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerize mascara. Alright y'all, so the time has finally come to do our palette bingo with the It's Freakin' Bats and Hallo Bean palettes from Shroud in collaboration with Betty Jean. I love these palettes. I don't support the brand anymore, but I still support Betty Jean, and the color stories in here are gorgeous, the formula is really nice, and I'm still going to get use out of them, even though the brand is not really a thing anymore. But let's go ahead and start pulling our shades. So I'm going to do 3 from each palette. That'll give us a total of 6, and I think that's a really good palette to start with. So we're going to start with the Hallo Bean palette, and I'm just going to do left to right, top to bottom. So number 1 will be up here, number 9 will be down here. So let me go ahead and pull up my random number generator, put it in 1 through 9. All right, so let's go ahead and start pulling our first number. So starting us off, we have number 4. So number 4 in this palette is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh, one of my favorites. It is Woodsboro. It's the most beautiful orange shimmer shade. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch that one out right here on the back of my hand. Alright, starting us off nice with a traditional Halloween color. Next, let's see what we're gonna get. So, number 9. Alright, that's going to be Wicked, which is this really pretty black shade down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch that one out as well. We're gonna put that one right here next to that orange. Oh my gosh, that's such a good black. It's such a shame about the brand because they did have a really good formula. Okay, last shade from this palette is going to be number 3. Ooh, that's so pretty. That's going to be this mustard yellow shade right here called Crypt. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch that one out next to my black. And this is our palette so far. I'm liking the direction that we're going, but we still have one more palette to swatch out and see what we get. So we have the It's Freakin' Bats palette, and the color story in this one is beautiful as well. I've said before I like Hallo Bean better, but I do love both of these. So let's see what our colors are going to be. Up first, number 5. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one right here, we have another shimmer. This one is called Sam. Oof, I love this one. This one is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at that color story so far. I'm excited about this. I've only ever done one palette bingo, and that was with the Vida and Muerte palettes from Melt, and I felt like I got dealt a really easy hand with that one, so I'm hoping for something a little more challenging. But we have 2 more shades, so let's go. Number 6. Okay, so number 6 is going to be Trappa, which is this shade right here. It's very similar to the one from the Hallo Bean palette, but it is definitely different. Now, I did not think this out very well. Where do I want to swatch this? We're gonna go right here. That's a very awkward spot. I apologize, but it's a really pretty green shade. It looks a lot more different off camera than it does on camera. Okay, one more shade. Let's see what we're gonna get. Number 8. All right, so number 8 is going to be this purple shade down here. This one is called Dairy. So let's do a swatch of this one so we can get our entire color story next to itself. All right, there we go. Okay, that's a pretty fun color story. So we've got 4 mattes, 2 shimmers. What do I want to do? That's a really good question. Okay, let me go ahead and kind of figure out something in my head, what I want to do, and we're going to start creating this look. All right, so I think I'm going to go ahead and start us off with this shade right here, which is called Trappa, and that is this one right here. This one is from the It's Freakin' Bats palette. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Morphe M504 brush. It's just a really big fluffy brush. I'm going to pick up some of that product, and I'm going to try and go in very lightly handed and just really blow this shade out in the crease. So I'm going to try and not pack it on too much. I don't want it to be overly pigmented. I just want to get as light of a wash of this color as I possibly can. And I think I might even bring it down onto the lower lash line as well. So just fluffing it out really quick, buffing it, making sure that we don't have any harsh lines. It's nice and blended, yada yada. All the things that I go for. I get very repetitive when I do my looks because I feel like I say over and over and over that I don't want any harsh lines. But you know, kind of is what it is. All right, so I think what I want to do next is pop over into the Hallo Bean palette and go in with this shade right here, which is called Crypt. So that's going to be this one up here. And I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with, let's do this. We're going to go in with a BK Beauty 206 brush, and I'm going to start to build up my outer corner. Now this one is a little bit darker than that last shade. It also has a different tonal value to it. So the first one has more of a green undertone to it. This one has a little bit more of like a pukey yellow undertone to it. Both very beautiful. I'm hoping that these are going to blend out really nicely, and they absolutely should. I love mixing these two palettes together, but like I said, I've never done a palette bingo with this, and I think this is going to be a really fun look. All right, so I'm going to bring that shade down onto the outer portion of my lower lash line as well. And once I have that shade down, I'm going to go back with the same brush very lightly. I'm just going to go right along the edge and kind of buff and blend and soften that blend right there. And then I'm going to go back with that first shade, Trappa, and kind of reiterate it right here along the edge. That way we don't lose any of the tone, we don't lose that color, because I feel like this one kind of took over, which is kind of what happens with the outer corner of my looks, just because I don't have a whole lot of lid space to work with. So I usually end up going back and reiterating shades. So same brush, same Trappa shade, right along the edges very lightly. Alright, so popping back over to the It's Freakin Bats palette, we're going to go into this deep purple shade down here, which is called Dairy. It's this one that we chose very last. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a BK Beauty 211 brush, and I'm going to start to deepen up this outer corner. But I kind of want to do this softly with this shade because I do still have that black shade to mess with, and I think that's going to give us really good depth. So I'm going in very lightly, and I'm just kind of buffing that shade on here. Now this is not going to come off true purple because we do have those murky tones underneath it, but we're going for a murky look, so when it muds out, I'm okay with that. Now if I wanted the pure vibrancy of the shade, I would have gone in with it first, but I kind of like the murkiness that we have going on, and I think it's just going to work out better for what we have on the lid already. Alright, so lastly from the Hallo Bean palette, we're going to go into this dark black shade over here called Wicked, which is this one on my hand. I'm going to pick that up with a Sigma E42 brush, and I'm just going to deepen up this outer corner a little bit more. So I'm picking up the tiniest bit of that shade, and we're just kind of packing it on this very outer corner. Now, we're not going to get a whole lot of difference with this shade, but it's definitely going to give a little extra depth out here, and the rules are you have to use every single shade that you're done. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm just gonna kind of do my little wrap around on my outer corner, bring it down to the lower lash line, and just make sure that everything is nice and blended. Alright, so we have two shades left, which are going to be these two shimmer shades right here. And we're going to go ahead and start out with the orange shade called Woodsboro. This one is from the Hallo Bean palette. So I've already gone ahead and primed my eyes with my NYX Glitter Primer per usual. And I'm going to pick this one up with a BK Beauty 203 brush. I am going to spray it per usual. And I'm going to start by popping this more in the center of my lid. So I want to really kind of focus it in there, and then I'll go back with the other shade and kind of blend everything out. So I'm going to start by pressing this right here in the center. I don't want to bring it over too far either way, so I'm kind of sticking to the width of the brush itself. So I'm just pressing that shade on here really good, and then once I have it down and my brush is a little bit more on the drier side, I can kind of wiggle it into my crease and kind of blending it, but I don't want to bring it too far over because I think I'm going to take that other shade on either side of this one. Alright, so we're going to go in with our very last shade, which is Sam from the It's Freakin Bats palette. I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my same BK Beauty 203 brush. I just wiped it off really, really good. I'm going to pick that up, spray it once again, and we're going to kind of plop this shade on either side of that orange. So I'm going to start here with the inner portion of my lid. I'm just going to press that shade down, and then I'm going to come over here over towards the outer corner and press that shade down, and once I have it where I want it, I can take the brush and just kind of blend everything together. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cheat just a little bit and pull in another shade from my inner corner. So I'm going to go in with this one down here, which is called Ghoulish from the Hallo Bean palette. I'm going to give you a swatch on my hand really quick, but it has like the most beautiful, like ethereal green glow to it. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love the shade. I was really kind of disappointed that I didn't get to pull it, but we can always pull in an extra shade because I did play with every one that I pulled. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one up with a Morphe M213 brush. I'm going in with this really tiny one because I want to be very precise in my inner corner. I just want to have that little bit of a glow. So I'm going to pick it up on my brush, spray it, and I'm going to go right here in just the very inner corner. Now, this shade is absolutely gorgeous. It's so transformative, so reflective. It makes a beautiful highlighter as well. But I'm just putting it in that very inner corner. So I'm not bringing it too far down or too far up. Alright y'all, so this is the completed palette bingo look, and I think this turned out really pretty. I have to admit I was a little worried how I was going to work that orange in with all these murky tones, and I do wish I had gotten something other than two really dark shades, like maybe the bright blue or the matte orange or something like that, just to bring in a little pop of something. But in the end, I got a beautiful look, and it's a palette bingo. You get what you get. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look so we can turn the lights down one last time. We can see the shimmer and the sparkle and then close out this video. So in my lower waterline, I went in with an Oden's YSL Monay Gel Liner. This is in the shade 006, which I believe is avocado or something like that. And then I lined my lid with my Zeesea liquid liner and finished everything off with my Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerized Mascara. All right, y'all, so that is going to complete this week's Throwback Thursday video, and I hope y'all enjoyed it and this brought you a little bit of inspiration with these palettes. But keep in mind that just because Halloween is over doesn't mean that we can't pull these palettes out for future Throwback Thursday videos. I don't care what time of year it is. If I want to play with a Halloween palette, I'm 100% gonna do so. But let me know all of your thoughts down below. Which palette did you vote for? Which look was your favorite? And as always, if there's a palette that you want to see in a future Throwback Thursday video, leave it down in that comment section, and if I have it in my collection, I'm more than happy to pull it. But let's have that conversation, light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.